For the last 2 decades, I've been on the nature and environment beat at National Geographic. My training is a photojournalist. And so our theme tonight is impacts, and what I've been doing is documenting the human impacts on the environment. So nature in its wild state can be extraordinarily beautiful. This Torres del Paine National Park down in Patagonia and the very tip of Chile is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been, and really a stunning landscape. But human civilization has to impact on nature. And in this case, Amish farmer in Illinois, it's a very gentle impact. He harvests his corn by hand and doesn't use any motorized vehicles. This is another sort of gentle impact. A little girl in Calcutta, India. She takes a bath they draw the water from a shallow tube well in front of their house. But the lifestyle that's become sort of the normal in the developed world puts enormous stresses on natural resources, the human impacts. And these are boaters taking a break along the banks of the Chesapeake River in Maryland. So to provide for this developed world lifestyle, one thing you have to do is you have to have water. And so in the U.S. case, this is the Glen Canyon Dam on the Colorado River, and it provides the water for domestic use in places like Phoenix, and then also for agriculture. And here in Las Vegas, 90% of the water is coming from Lake Mead, the Hoover Dam, which is behind Hoover Dam, and it provides the possibility to even have a Las Vegas. What we're seeing is shortages of water. I just took this picture last month. This is up in Oroville Dam. This is the water that comes from the Feather River all the way down California to Los Angeles. And this reservoir is about 30% capacity in drought. And in a lot of larger cities around the world, the infrastructure hasn't been able to keep up with the growing population. So here in Mexico City, you have to bring the water with a tanker truck. And here in New Delhi, the water pipe goes to the city, and sort of the poor people live underneath the pipe. And manufacturing that's unchecked can pollute the waterways. This is in China in the Yellow River. In the background, you have a tofu plant that's just putting out this dye into a pink dye preservative. In the Midwest, where you have runoff from a lot of nitrogen fertilizers, in late summer you get these algae blooms on Lake Erie. And we need to cut down forests for wood products and pulp. This is up in the boreal forest in Winnipeg, Canada, and these were old growth trees that were all being turned into pulp. And a lot of you have probably heard about this in the Amazon. It's being converted to farmland. This has sort of a double whammy. The trees that used to take in the carbon dioxide are no longer there, but these are peasant farmers that are converting the farmland basically just to survive. Industrialized agriculture almost always takes chemicals. In this case, you have fungicide, which is used on this tobacco plants in Nicaragua. And these chemicals, if they get into your body, they can cause harm. These are 3 women that have breast cancer, and they believe that the cause was that they lived near this industrial area in Richmond, California. In the worst cases, high doses of chemicals can actually affect your DNA. The grandfather of this girl with no eyes and no fingers was exposed to Agent Orange during the Vietnam War, and she's photographed her in a orphanage in Ho Chi Minh City. Everything eventually becomes waste. These old, outdated computers were sent to a recycler in the U.S. or in Europe, but they were sent overseas to Ghana, where the people sort of stripped out the wires and burned the copper. And the production of nuclear weapons causes the worst type of waste. This is in a government lab in Idaho. These are like concrete little canisters that are it's called dry storage of high-level nuclear waste. And what that is waste that will be radioactive and dangerous for millions of years. Throughout the American West, there's a lot of towns that were mining towns and were boom towns in the 19th and early 20th century. And now when the ore runs out, the whole town becomes sort of a type of waste. Goes bust and leaves very little for the people. But by far the largest human impact on our environment is the burning of carbon-based fuels. Like here is a coal plant in Conesville, Ohio. And about a third of this carbon that we're putting up in the atmosphere comes from transportation. Like here, this is the rush hour in Atlanta where I live. And oil is getting harder to find. This is up in the oil sands in Alberta, and you have to move 4 tons of soil just to get 1 barrel of oil, and it completely strips away the native forest. And these are the tailings ponds, and they're pretty messy, and they're dangerous for migratory birds if they land on it. But by far the biggest impact is all the side effects that we're seeing from the increase in the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is an Austrian researcher, and they're not only documenting, of course, the glaciers that are, you see they're hanging glaciers are retreating, but the plants are changing. It's moving upslope. You can literally see it within a decade. This woman is a rice farmer in Bangladesh. As the glaciers melt, the sea level rises, and the major effect on people in low-lying areas. In Bangladesh, there's several million people who are literally be displaced. The coral reefs photographed in Maldives. When the ocean temperature raises just 1 degree centigrade over its normal average, the coral will bleach out the algae. And climate models show that within 100 years, the ocean won't be habitable for any coral. About 30% of the world's amphibians are in danger because of the higher temperature makes a fungus that is lethal to them. And this is a Fleischmann's glass frog that is on severe decline in Costa Rica. Interestingly, the insects do well in warmer climates. I just did a story about the mountain pine beetle in the American West. Those trees in the foreground were all killed by the pine beetle. The larvae aren't killed in the cold winters. And also there's been studies of documented increases in wildfires, especially in the boreal forest. So I had the pleasure to go up with this gentleman, Lonnie Thompson. He took that ice core from 18,600 feet up in a tropical ice cap in Peru, and he can document past climates, and he keeps all of these ice cores in his freezer at the University of Ohio. University of Ohio. And what Thompson and all the other vast majority of climate scientists are saying, that we're approaching a point where we're going to have this positive feedback and rapid increases in warming and also more extreme weather events. So these Inuit farmers used to, their diet was primarily from hunting marine mammals, but when their sea ice receded and became warmer, they had to adapt. And what they've done is they now grow potatoes successfully in the long days, the warm summers. And in my opinion, all of us in the future are going to have to adapt to this changing world. So I offer these pictures really not as just a catalog for despair or negativity, but hopes that they will offer some insights that could lead to solutions and ultimately be expressions for a better world. Thank you.